morning. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to wait probably about 20, 30 seconds as people kind of join the webinar, and then we'll get started. So bear with us for a few moments. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about mentor protege programs. We did a presentation on teaming back in December, and in that presentation, I talked a little bit about mentor protege programs, and then basically told our audience that I would do this presentation that focuses strictly on just the mentor protege program. So with that, let's just kind of jump into it a little bit. First, a little about who we are. We're the Apex Accelerator, again, formerly known as the PTAC, and we're administered locally by the Monterey County Business Council. Apex Accelerator have been around since 1985, and they're managed through the Department of Defense. There's 96 centers across the United States and in U.S. territories, 7 within the state of California. And the mission of all Apex Accelerators is basically just to promote economic growth and employment opportunities in the local markets that they serve. And we do that by facilitating your access to the government marketplace. Although we're federally funded, government marketplace meaning federal, state, and local. So I mentioned there's 7 accelerators in the state of California. Each colored area is a different Apex Accelerator. We're the teal area in the middle of the state, the Central Coast, Central Valley. So basically most of the southern half of the San Joaquin Valley is part of our service territory. If you're in on this webinar from one of the other colored areas, you can reach out to our colleagues at one of the others, or just reach out to us and we can refer you to the appropriate Apex Accelerator represents your location. These are the services that all Apex Accelerators provide. Basically, first and foremost, is just one-on-one counseling, us learning about your business, what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and then goals for government contracting. Once we kind of learn a little bit more about your business, we'll provide you some pre-award assistance. We'll teach you how to go out and find opportunities, help you when you find those opportunities and you start reviewing the documentation of it can be very confusing. So we'll help you review those and understand those. And then we'll help you with what's called a capability statement. Capability statement, just real briefly, is just a 1-page, basically line card about your business in a format that basically was developed for the federal government, but it's being adopted by a lot of prime contractors that sell to the federal government, as well as seeing a lot of the state government agencies like to see those as well. Like in kind of today's presentation, if you're out there looking for a mentor, having a capability statement is a good introduction of your business to a prime contractor that does federal contracting. Post-award assistance. Conflicts do arise, so we'll kind of help you walk through that, how to best handle it. Debriefs are something that talk to you about. Basically, whether you win or you don't win a contract, you can ask for a debrief. The contract officer can answer some questions on how you could have done a better job on your offer. And then protests, whether you feel really you want to go ahead and go down that road or not. We tell you whether it really makes sense for your business or not. Outreach events. When we hear about outreach events, we'll push those out to you. We oftentimes are at those events ourselves, either getting the word out of who we are, what we do, or also doing trainings at those events. So we'll continue to do trainings live, typically at an outreach event. And of course, we'll continue to do our webinars, which we found through the pandemic, a great way to reach more people in such a wide area of our service area. Bid matching is a service that we provide that basically Apex Accelerators use third-party vendors that have set up systems where you work with your counselor, put together a profile. It's uploaded into the third-party vendor system, and then that system will go out and search literally thousands of government websites where contract opportunities are posted. If there's a match to your profile and that opportunity, you'll receive an email directly in your inbox. It saves you the time and trouble having to do that yourself. And then certification programs, we help you navigate those. There's a lot of them out there: woman-owned small business, service disabled, DBE, 8A, HubZone. We're knowledgeable on all those. We'll tell you whether they make sense for your business or not. And then also let you know, like, what are the qualifications, and then what are the supporting documents you'll need to produce, and those types of things in order to get certified for your business. And one of the great things is there's no fees or commitments with your tax dollars at work, so take full advantage of that. With that, I'd like to introduce another kind of a sister program to us, is the Small Business Development Center Network. This Central California SBDC network basically has offices up and down the San Joaquin Valley, and they're another program like ours. Theirs is managed through the SBA, but they provide, again, no cost services to help you grow your business. So you may have private sector clients as well as government clients. They're really good at helping you basically write business plans, maybe learn a little bit more about how to better promote your business using social media, those types of things. But they're a great resource. Oftentimes, as we're working with you, we'll say, hey, take advantage of the SBDC, start working with us in tandem, so we'll get to your goal faster that way. Oftentimes, though, sometimes we'll be contacted by somebody who's just barely starting a business or thinking about starting a business, and we'll refer somebody to the SBDC to say, work with them first, get your business a little bit more established, then come back to us, and then we can take you down the path to government contracting. But a great resource. So again, take advantage of them. Here's their website, CASBDC.com. You reach out to them, and then they'll assign somebody to work with you. So with that, here's our agenda for today for talking about the Mentor Protégé program. First, I'm going to cover just some basics of Mentor Protégé programs, the benefits, and then talk about the DoD, Department of Defense Mentor Protégé program, the SBA's Mentor Protégé program, and a little bit about other Mentor Protégé programs that are out there that a lot of people aren't aware of. Talk a little bit about finding a mentor, and then finally, just I'll take your questions and answers. One thing before I jump into this, I'll let you know that you'll all receive copies of our presentation today, as well as a recording of this presentation, should you want to listen to it again. So the basics. Mentor Protégé programs really is, when we talked about teaming last month, there's different ways, of course, that you can team with other companies. The most common thing is, you're either a sub prime contractor relationship. Either you're the prime and you're working with subs, or it's the other way around. Sometimes beyond just that relationship, you may actually then form a joint venture. And then Mentor Protégé is similar to that, but Mentor Protégé programs from the government is a program where the mentor protege relationship needs to actually be approved either through the DoD or the SBA. The Mentor Protégé programs were developed to provide small businesses with an opportunity to just enhance your capabilities and improve your abilities to compete for federal contracting. That's the gist of it. You want to work with a company that has more experience in government contracting so that you can succeed in the government marketplace. Again, the two primary programs are the Department of Defense, the DoD, and the Small Business Administration. And basically today's talk, I'm going to first go through the DoD's program, and then I'll switch over and talk about the SBA's program. The DoD's program is the oldest program. It was established in 1991. The SBA program began in 1998. At that time, it was for 8A firms only, but these programs are kind of always kind of reevaluated and stuff. So now the SBA's program is open to any small businesses. So you don't have to be an 8A firm to, to participate in it. So it allows for a lot more opportunities for a lot more companies. And again, there's 7 total programs, and I'll show you a little bit later what those other programs are. So what are the benefits in a mentor protege participating in a mentor protege program? Well, for the protege, basically you'll gain management and technical assistance from your mentor. You're a small business, you're growing, but then you get to a point where you say, well, there's some other things that I need to be a more successful business. Ideally, that's what the mentor is going to provide. The mentor also can provide financial assistance through loans and actually equity investments, basically, purchasing part of your business so that you're stronger financially to go after bigger contracting opportunities. And then you may or may not, but typically what you might see as a benefit is that as the protege of the mentor, you'll receive subcontracting opportunities from the mentor, which is a great thing. And then, of course, it'll allow you to form a joint venture with a mentor. It's not required, but if that is something that you and the mentor decide makes a lot of sense, it allows you to do that. And of course, just general business development assistant. Business development assistant meaning more like learning how to better market yourself to the government, etc. Now, for the mentor, basically, the benefits that they provide, this can be kind of confusing. It says cannot be attributed for affiliation purposes. Basically, though, what by being in a formal relationship, then it removes any appearance that there's affiliation between the companies. And we could do a whole presentation just on affiliation, and I won't get into that, but it's actually just, it's a great thing for both a mentor and protege to be able to work together and eliminate any appearance of affiliation. And as I mentioned earlier, the mentor through a joint venture then can compete on a set-aside contract. So if the protege happens to be, say, example, a certified woman-owned small business, and there's a woman-owned small business set-aside contract through the mentor protege program, they can form a joint venture, and then the mentor can participate in that women-owned small business set-aside contract. So here's the first one we're going to talk about. The DoD's mentor protege program. As I mentioned earlier, it's the oldest program. It's been around since 1990. Not permanent. It's not permanent, but it's always been reauthorized. So it's not like it's like a law, but it's there and it's been tweaked over the years. It continues to be tweaked, and looking like there are some things that, like this new change proposed, will make it so it'll expand the program so more companies can participate in it as mentors, which is a good thing. Currently, there are over 250 mentor protege agreements with the Department of Defense. So again, for the purpose of the DoD's program is basically the program is established to kind of remove barriers for entries for small businesses. Why? Well, contracting process with the Department of Defense can be really confusing. So by you working with a mentor who is already selling to the Department of Defense, they can kind of teach you the ropes and how to navigate certain things that can be very confusing or really time consuming for a small business to learn. And then it just, again, helps into breaking into a new market is never easy because they're already selling to the Department of Defense. It makes it easier for you to sell to Department of Defense either as a subcontractor working through your mentor or another DoD contractor, or just you selling directly to the Department of Defense. So for the protege, these are the eligibility requirements to be part of the DoD's Mentor Protege program. You must be eligible for federal contract awards, and that means a couple things. Now, basically, it's eligible means you're registered in SAM.gov, and your firm is not debarred or suspended for doing any kind of work with the federal government. That does happen, but if you're in that area where you're debarred to do work with the federal government, then you certainly can't become an approved protege. Now, it's only available to small disadvantaged businesses. So this is the listing of what they are. Small disadvantaged business, which basically means an 8A company, woman-owned small business, service disabled, hub zone business. Those that I just mentioned, especially like the woman-owned, service disabled, hub zone, if it's a woman-owned or service disabled, you need to be certified. You just can't be a woman-owned business and be part of the program. You need to be certified by the SBA in order to be qualified for these. And then there's Native American or Hawaiian organizations. Basically, those are like tribally owned entities. And then organizations employing severely disabled individuals. And then any company, this one's kind of an interesting one, any company that currently supplies goods or services in the private sector that are critical to the defense supply base. So that one's a little bit more unusual, and there's some out there, not as many. Most of the ones that you're seeing part of Mentor Protege program are those that are up above that. And other than, well, let me not say that, but with all these, you must be small in your business's primary NAICS code. So when somebody registered in SAM.gov, you're allowed to list as many NAICS codes as you want to, but you do identify one as your primary NAICS code. So your business must be small under the small business side standards to qualify. So for the mentor to be eligible to be part of this program, same thing, they must be eligible for federal contract awards. And of course, they are, and I'll kind of get into some of that here in a minute. But again, it's the same thing. You can't be debarred or suspended. Must be of good financial health and character. And basically anybody really who's, like I mentioned, there's like over 250 current DoD mentor protege agreements. They're all good financial health and character. But you must be qualified to provide assistance that will meet the purpose of the program. And that's a big thing with both these programs. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But this last two bullet points, that's why they're kind of separated a little bit from the ones above that. The mentor must currently be performing it on at least one approved subcontracting plan. And basically what that means is if it's a larger contract, large federal contractors then have to have an approved subcontracting plan, meaning that they have agreed with the federal government that they will strive to meet goals for doing subbing a certain percentage of their contract to, say, woman-owned, 8A, hub zone, service disabled, veteran-owned business, etc. So they must have one of those approved. And this is a big kicker, this last one. The mentor must have in the previous year either a contract and subcontract of at least $100 million during that previous fiscal year before they apply to become a mentor. So that's a pretty big number. One of the changes that I mentioned earlier that they're looking at is to reduce that number from 100 million during the previous fiscal year down to 25 million, which would really expand the pool of potential mentors. So hopefully that's something that will happen. If it does, we'll definitely let you know. So here's the application requirements. Uh, for a for a protege, you want to find a mentor. And of course, there may be mentors out there that are also looking for proteges for different reasons. Uh, and the way it works with the DoD is that you need to identify a major buying command to sponsor the mentor protege agreement. And the major buying command is you think of the Department of Defense, the buying commands are, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, etc. So those are the major buying commands. So you need, and typically what it is, the mentors already has a contract, say with the Army, and so they would go to the Army and say, hey, would you be a sponsor for me for a mentor protege agreement? There's a company that I want to mentor, and then there's this process. The mentor must apply to the mentor protege program director at the Office of Small Business Programs, the OSBP, to establish its initial eligibility as a mentor. So what the mentor does is first they have to apply to become a mentor. Once they do that and are approved to become a mentor, then they can go ahead and start the process to submit a mentor protege application. That application for the mentor protege agreement is what's nice is that the DoD has a template that's online that someone can go in there and just start filling it out in order to submit it. And you submit it to the Office of Small Business Programs, the OSBP, at whichever major buying command that you went to be a sponsor of the agreement. How we doing on time? Okay. So here's some basically just kind of the path of how it works. Again, the mentor gets approved, you execute a mentor protege agreement, you submit that for review. The OSBP reviews it and ideally would either approve it or maybe come back to you with some questions, etc. One thing they may look at, one of the things that's in the application is that you have to detail, okay, what kind of assistance is the mentor going to provide to the protege? What it is that you're going to provide, when are you going to do it, how you're going to do it, and it's agreement between, again, the mentor and the protege that these are the assistance that the protege is going to receive from the mentor. The Office of Small Business Programs, in addition to just approving the mentor protege agreement, will conduct a preliminary assessment of the protege's cybersecurity readiness. So you hear us talking a lot lately about cybersecurity and CMMC coming up. This is really important to the Department of Defense, so you'll have to go through this assessment with them. So again, if you're heard about CMMC, you're still confused by it, reach out to us. We can kind of walk you through it. We'll probably be doing another presentation on CMMC next month because of some recent changes that have come out in that program. This is an interesting thing with the Department of Defense's master mentor protege agreement. And these are primarily, the focus is for the mentor, not so much for you in on this webinar. But there are different types. So there's a reimbursable mentor protege agreement, which basically says is that the costs incurred by the mentor to assist the protege, the mentor can be reimbursed by the federal government for those costs, up to $1 million. So again, the mentor is providing, assistance, taking, say, somebody away from their normal duties at their job in order to provide technical assistance to a protege, the cost of paying that individual. then can be reimbursed again up to $1 million. Now, credit is when again there's a subcontracting plan that the mentor has on existing contracts with the government where they need to meet these goals that are in there. The time and money spent in assisting the protege then can be attributed and getting credit towards those goals. So it's up to the mentor to really to decide what they want to do. And there's actually even a hybrid version where the first year of the mentor protege program, you can get credit towards the subcontracting goals, and in the second year, you can be reimbursed for the cost of helping the protege. So here's just some other facts about the DoD program. Again, the mentor must be pre-approved. So that's the first thing. If a mentor is not already pre-approved, they need to go and get a pre-approved before they apply with a potential protege to an Office of Small Business Programs. The mentor must renew every 5 years. So you apply to become a mentor and then you're good for 5 years, but then at end of 5 years or probably in the 4th year, you want to reapply for a 5th year if you're finding that being a participant in the mentor protege program has shown to be very beneficial to your company. The mentor can actually have up to 3 proteges at a time. So again, when you think of doing $100 million a year in revenues with the Department of Defense, these are large, Fortune 100 companies, so they may have the bandwidth to easily assign employees to help 3 proteges all at the same time. So they can do that. They're not required to, but they could. The length of a mentor protege agreement is only 2 years. There can, through approval, be a 3rd year, and that is something that is being reevaluated too, as far as changes. Like I mentioned, the one earlier, going from 100 million to 25 million, is to maybe extend the length of time of the mentor protege agreement. This last one, the second to last one, both the mentor and protege must report progress semi-annually. So again, in your application, it's going to define the areas where the mentor is going to provide assistance to the protege. So you'll be evaluated on your progress semi-annually. And then the processing time through the Office of Small Business Programs, once you submit that application, is actually really fast. It's amazing for the government. It's 10 business days they're required to process that. So they may go longer, but it's going to be nothing like you'll see here with the SBA. So now here's the SBA's mentor protege program. So like I mentioned, there's 2 basically mentor protege programs. Again, with I've got some spelling errors here. The 2 primary programs, Department of Defense and the SBA's. Department of Defense, it's Department of Defense, but then all those major buying commands, Army, Navy, Air Force, etc. With the SBA approves all mentor protege agreements for all these other departments that have their own distinct mentor protege programs. So it's NASA, Department of Energy, Federal Aviation Administration, Homeland Security, and the Department of Transportation. And you can go to each one of these agencies and kind of learn a little bit more about the particulars of each one and see perhaps which one is the best fit for you. But typically, if you're in, as an example, a company that does a lot of work in this industry of aeronautics and space, then more than likely that's where you want to be in their mentor protege program versus some of the others. Again, SBA has their own kind of universal one, but again, they're the ones that approve the applications for these other agencies. Currently, SBA has over 2,700 mentor protege agreements across the United States, and there's 113 in the state of California. So here's the eligibilities for the proteges. Once again, you must be eligible for contract awards. That means you're not suspended, debarred, or anything like that due to some activity on a previous federal contract. Again, this was a little bit different. You must be small in your business's primary or secondary NAICS code. In the secondary NAICS code, though, you have to have identifiable industry experience. So with the DoD, it was only in your primary NAICS code can you be an applicant as a protege. But with the SBA, you can also do a secondary NAICS code, but you need to show that you've got the experience in that secondary NAICS code as well. What you want to do too is, identify a mentor prior to applying to the mentor protege program. Likewise, it's kind of makes sense. You got to need to be registered in SAM. You have to be organized for profit. So nonprofits, the mentor protege is not set up for that. Or you can be an agricultural cooperative, but again, it's for profits. And it can't be affiliated at time of application or for reasons other than mentor protege programs. So that just kind of means that you're not over reliant on your mentor showing that there's affiliation. Now it can happen after you're approved, but prior to being approved, you can't be affiliated anyway. Now for the mentor, same thing, must be eligible, not suspended or debarred. With the DoD program, again, the mentor had to be doing at least $100 million with the DoD leading up to this. With the SBA, SBA used to be that the mentor had to be a large business mentoring a small business. Recently, the SBA has changed that, so any size business that can show that they have the ability to assist another small business can be a mentor to another small business. So that's a good thing, again, making it much more flexible. When you think of, small business size standards, a lot of times when people first look at them, they're just kind of really surprised of how large is small. So when you think of say, the construction industry, if you're a general contractor doing $30 million a year, you're still considered small. But doing $30 million a year, you can have a lot of in-house expertise, those types of things, to be really assisting a business maybe that's only doing $5 million a year. So that's two small businesses working together, one as the mentor and the other as the protege. Again, you need to be registered in sam.gov. Same thing, you need to be organized for profit or as a agricultural cooperative. And the same thing, you can't be affiliated with the protege prior to applying. Once the mentor protege agreement is approved, then things can change and there can be affiliation. So the application requirements. So the mentor protege agreement, and then what, again, the SBA has what the DoD has, is there's a template that you'll go through, and you'll be asked to identify specific forms of assistance. Is it accounting help? Is it estimating? Is it proposal writing? Is it HR things, marketing research? All those things that the protege seeks to become more successful in the government marketplace needs to be identified, what it is, when this will be accomplished and how it'll be done, and that's be part of the agreement. And again, the agreement and those things that I just mentioned need to be consistent with a protege's business plan. So again, if the protege doesn't have a business plan, uh, we'll send you over to our friends at the SBBC, and they can help you put together a business plan. And in that business plan, that's why we want to have a business plan. You know, you do a SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. You'll identify some weaknesses that the company might have that you need to improve on. Well, that's in your business plan, and then of course that then can be addressed in the deliverables in a mentor protege agreement. You would apply on certifysba.gov. You go there, and again, there's the templates and all that. One of the things that they ask, so that you really kind of understand what you're getting into, is that you go and complete the Mentor's Protege Program online tutorial. So you go through a tutorial, you get a certificate of completion, so you really understand all the aspects of what's involved with the Mentor Protege agreement. Then again, you get execute a Mentor Protege agreement. Their processing time with the SBA, they say, should be about 100 days. How close to 100 days it is, I don't know, but I'm hoping that that is an accurate number. But certainly it's a lot slower than the 10 days that the Office of Small Business Programs that the various Department of Defense buying commands do it. So that's kind of the process there. Other facts with the SBA program is, again, there's an annual evaluation toward the agreement deliverables. So again, you've detailed what it is that the assistance you're going to receive, when it's going to happen, how's it's going to happen. So you'll be evaluated on that and see how it goes. There's a 6-year term for this mentor protege program, unlike the DOD's, which is only 2, with potential 3 years. This is a 6-year program. The protege can have up to 2 mentors at a time. However, your protege can only have 2 mentors over the life of its business. So that's something important. Mentors, on the other hand, can have up to 3 proteges at a time. One thing I'll say too is that if in both these programs, this is available to you. If a mentor protege agreement is approved and you get into the program, but then all of a sudden you quickly, as a protege, maybe after 3 or 4 months, realizing that your mentor is not delivering what they said that they would do, you keep asking for help and they keep finding some reason why they can't help you, you can basically contact either the SBA or DOD and say, hey, this is what's going on, it's not working. And they'll say, okay, we'll let you, out of this mentor protege agreement, and then it won't count against you for this up to 2 mentors over the life of a business. They'll allow you, there's a time period, I forget exactly what it is, but they'll allow you to end the mentor protege agreement, but still maintain being able to have 2 over the life of your business. But there is and that's all detailed when you get into their application and that type of thing, of the processes, the timeframes, those types of things. I was just trying to keep this presentation somewhat like a large overview, a little bit briefer. But you do have an opportunity for that. And I've talked to proteges who got into mentor protege agreement, and they said, yeah, the mentor just did not deliver what they said they were going to do. So it does happen. So per that, actually, I guess I didn't have a slide, but per that, one of the big things that everyone always asks is, can you help me find a mentor? or does, like in this case, does the SBA help the protege find a mentor, or does the Department of Defense help the potential protege find a mentor? And the answer is no. Uh, what you as a protege need to do is you need to look at who you're uh, currently have business relationships with, companies that are larger for you, that you look at them and you've developed a relationship with, and you know, ask them, hey, would you be willing to, maybe look at being a mentor to us? We really like your company. We we see that you're much more efficient at what you do than you're at where we would like to be. Is there a willingness for you to do that? One of the great ways to kind of test the waters, per se, of whether a mentor or company might be a good mentor for you is to kind of try them out by maybe being a subcontractor to them. And again, maybe just because you have been a subcontractor, to say to a company, say consistently for a year or 2 years, and you guys work together really well, is then to talk to them. But that's actually a great way for you to approach someone, because they like you, they like the work that you've done, they use you consistently as a sub. They may then be willing to be a mentor and help you grow your business. They may see that too, such as, again, they see that by joint venturing, maybe they were a small business, but now they've outgrown that small business size standard. So maybe they're just too large, but all of a sudden now they see that uh, they're doing 50 million a year, but they're competing against companies that are doing 3 billion a year, 500,000 a year. I mean, 500 million a year. And now they're not as competitive as they can because they lost that small business uh, size status. But by being a mentor to you, you have the small business size status. They then you can form a joint venture with you and then participate in small business set asides, and you become the prime, they become the sub, or they can still sort of maybe be the prime and teach you along the way, because it's the joint venture that has the contract. So there's benefits for them. So that's a big thing that it's important for you to know, is that it's up to you as a business owner to find your mentor. And that's the best way to find a mentor, is ideally someone that you're already doing business with. Uh, this mentor protege program obviously is not going away. So it could be something that's more kind of in the back of your mind as a strategic plan for your business, that you say, right now I need to kind of learn more about who the players are, maybe develop relationships with more prime contractors before I approach them to be potentially my mentor. So you kind of think about it, right? Some of you might be at a point where you already have a relationship like I just described, where you've been a sub to a company. They like you, you like them. It's easy to work. Everybody's making money. So now it might be a good time for them to kind of take a look at, these mentor protege programs. With that, here's some useful websites. So basically, here's where you would go to learn more about the DoD mentor protege program, and the same thing for the SBA mentor protege program. Again, I'll clean up a couple of these slides where I've got some typos in it, and then I'll send this out to you later this morning. With that, just really quickly, upcoming webinars. January 31st, we're going to do capability statements. You heard me talk about them in the beginning of the presentation. Again, it's a great way too, that if you're looking for a mentor, is to be able to say, here's my capability statement. So we've been doing work together, but this is just kind of as a way. Or maybe you're looking for a mentor, and maybe you're at a networking event. It might be a great way for you to just help to make an introduction to a company that potentially you could start working with in the future. And then on February 14th, Valentine's Day, we'll do one on proposal preparation guidelines. We get a lot of questions on, I need help on writing a proposal, so we'll cover that there. So with that, any questions that any of you may have, just drop them into the chat and they'll be happy to answer them for you. Why? Let's see if I can. That's a good question. Someone says, does the mentor protege agreement expire if the protege exceeds its study standard or loses its certification during the term of the agreement? And I don't have the answer for that. Yeah, I don't have the answer to that. I'll have to research that and find out. That's a really good question. Does the mentor protege agreement expire if the protege exceeds its size standard, loses its certification during the term of the agreement? And if you think about it too, with this mentor protege program, the idea is to grow smaller businesses so they can be more competitive in the government industrial base or the military industrial base, so that they are selling to the government just based upon the quality of the products or services they sell to the government, not because of the fact that they're meeting any kind of small business size standard or certification standard, something like that. I mean, the idea is that those opportunities are great, but the idea is for you to grow beyond being small, or small, because once you're no longer small, then you don't qualify for any of the certifications. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions, so one thing, if you have more questions after you kind of sit and think about it, and you can always just reach out to us here at MontereyBayApex.org. Reach out to your counselor, to me, and then we can talk a little bit more about mentor protege programs. But I mean, it's a great program. Again, there are things about it that there's some work, and again, you kind of sitting down and reflecting on, what are some things that I could be better at, use some assistance on, and then going to another company that you have a relationship with that can help you along the way. A lot of companies that are out there are business owners. Understand that you're at where they were at maybe 20 years ago, and maybe they benefited by some mentor, even though it might have been at that time just kind of an informal relationship that they had with somebody who really shared some wisdom with them that really helped their business grow. So this is just more formalized, but again, it's a great way to maybe better understand through someone else's experience on how to be more efficient at selling to the government and winning more contracts. Getting a friend from my colleagues, and there's another question here, but I don't see another question either in chat or in the Q&A. Oh, I see, here it is. Could you give an example of good or service that is critical? There might be, like, say, some sophisticated technology that maybe that company has that maybe helps guide missiles, or it could be cybersecurity stuff to become so important in our world today. That actually too, I when I was doing this presentation, I even thought of not even putting that on there, because again, I don't know who would define what is critical that somebody is selling in the private sector that the government would feel that is critical for them operating in the government or the military that would be of use to them. In the documentation that I reviewed, there was no real kind of definition of what that is. I think per that, John, would be your best bet would perhaps be thinking about maybe if you think that you have something that is critical and what government agency it would apply to would be to reach out to that government agency and ask that question, say, this is what we work on, this is what we develop and sell. Is this what you would consider critical or not? That wasn't the Q&A. One came up in the chat. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any other. Well, let's see here. Maybe there is. Okay, so Jeff says, Jeff says, we are partnering with IBM on a number of federal DoD contracts. What mentor protege program do you think would work for us? One of the things with that is, and I saw a presentation that supposedly there was somewhere online where you could see who are the current holders or approved mentors with the Department of Defense. I searched and searched, I couldn't find that. With IBM, they actually could be a company that's already a approved mentor with the DoD, so that you could reach out to, and what you would do is you would reach out to IBM's, all these big Department of Defense contractors, or just large contractors like an IBM who sell to the government, have what are called different names, but like either a small business specialist, small business liaison, supplier diversity office, something like that, who then would be familiar with the mentor protege program, whether they involve with it or not. And then they would probably be the best ones to say, we think this would be the best, say, military buying command to go to. So like, again, with IBM, they may say, oh, well, yeah, you state there's a number of federal DoD contracts that you're partnering with them on, and they may say, well, with us, we've got a really strong relationship with the Navy or the Air Force. Let's go to them because it'll just be much easier to get this pushed through. So I would talk to IBM, and they'd probably be the one to really answer that question for you. Good question, though. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions popping up. Oops. So with that, I will see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us today.